Today we're doing another new makeup I'm not buying, where I'm going to talk about some new makeup launches that I'm kind of excited about, but I'm trying to be better at buying less products overall. So I'm going to tell you how I talked myself out of these products. And while doing that, I also shop my stash and I'm using some products that have similar vibes to these new launches. But I also did use a couple new products today, including the new Odens Eye and Morgan Turner eyeshadow palette. How gorgeous is this look? So if that all sounds good, let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and did my base off camera just because I'm not using anything too special. I'm wearing the Makeup by Mario foundation in the shade 1C, and then a little bit of my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Vanilla on top just to cover up any blemishes. Now the first product I want to talk about is a new product, but it is drugstore and it's only $6. So it is the Catrice Under Eye Brightener Setting Powder. So if you watch my videos, you know that I love their under eye brightener. This is also only $6 and it is so pigmented. You get so much product in here and you only need a tiny bit when you go to apply it. And so just the other day I got a PR package from them and I was like, oh, what is this powder? So I think I want to try these two together today and see how it makes my under eyes look. Like, this is a small cute container for powder. I'm gonna see if I can tap some out. Let's see if it like does anything on my hand. Oh, that is kind of brightening it up. You see that? So I'm gonna take that cream brightener and I literally just dab my brush in it like twice. This is the BK Beauty N14 brush. I'm just gonna tap that under my eyes. I'll bring whatever's left over on my eyelid as well. I'm gonna grab a touch more just for this kind of inner part of my eye. It is really nice and creamy and it works on like a full glam makeup day or even a no makeup kind of day. Like, it really doesn't sit heavy on your skin at all. I'm trying to decide if I want to do concealer or not on top of it. Normally I would do concealer, so I'll probably stick with that, right? Just doing one eye at a time. So I'm taking my Natasha Denona concealer in R2. I'm just gonna do that much right there. Same brush, blend that out. And again, just taking whatever's left over on my eyelid. Okay, now for the powder, I have some of it in the cap right here. I'm gonna take this little Kosas powder brush. I really like it for smaller areas of my face. And I'm gonna pick some up here. All right, here we go. I'm also gonna bring it on my eyelid. I'm kind of using this to prime my eyes as well. Okay, that looks pretty set from a distance. Okay, that actually does look pretty smooth though, and I feel like I am seeing a subtle hint of pink in there for the brightening. It almost looks like it has just like the softest like sheen to it too. Like, it's not 100% matte. Okay, not bad. Let me get the other eye done, starting with the cream brightener. Also, I think I'm posting this video on Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day if you're watching it today. I am planning on having a fantastic Valentine's Day as a single person now. My plan is to go to the gym, have a good workout, kind of get ready for the day, and maybe film and do my makeup. I was gonna get myself flowers at a local shop. I'm gonna pick up a crumble cookie because for dinner I'm headed to my sister's house and we're gonna have a cute little like Valentine's Day dinner together with my nieces. So I am just so excited to hang out with my favorite girls on Valentine's Day. And Rue, of course. Grabbing the powder again. I am just excited to treat myself on Valentine's Day and not be disappointed. Okay, so far I think that powder does look really good, but of course I kind of have to see how it wears throughout the day because this is my very first time putting it on my face. I really do like how the cream and the powder are like the same size though. I did want to mention too that they came out with two more deeper shades of the cream brightener. So if you've been wanting to try this, the first and second shade were way too light for you, and now you have some options. Again, it's only $6. I highly recommend this one. I'm gonna quickly set the rest of my face with my Kosas Cloud Set powder. I'm using the shade Airy, and I'm pretty much just setting everywhere that I didn't use that Catrice powder. And I'm setting my face now because I'm about to go in with some matte blushes, so I want a nice set base to work with. So there are 3 new blushes that I want to talk about today, and blush is my favorite makeup category. I'm doing a pretty good job talking myself out of these 3 new blushes, so hopefully this will help you too. But I am trying to be extra picky as well because I did just post a giant blush declutter earlier this week, so I don't want to declutter all these blushes just to bring a bunch of new ones in. But I'm definitely intrigued by these blushes, so let's talk about them. So first we have these new Tower 28 matte blushes. At the time that I'm filming this, they're not available yet, but I've only seen Whitney Simmons post about them because I know she got them in PR. They kind of just look like your typical matte blush, but I'm intrigued by these because I really like Tower 28 as a brand. They're a brand that I'm excited when they release new things. I want to know what they're up to. But apparently these matte blushes are supposed to kind of be blurring as well, and they did come out with a setting powder. I think it was late last year, this Get Set powder, and I've been using this a lot. So because I like this powder, I'm like, ooh, well, I'll probably probably really like their blush formula then too, right? But if I am being so real with myself, I don't really use matte blushes a lot. I way more prefer a cream blush nowadays than maybe a glowy blush on top. I think I just like a glowy cheek really. So I don't really actively use matte blushes right now in my makeup routine, so it wouldn't make sense to buy some new ones. So to kind of help talk myself out of those blushes, I want to use some matte blushes that I already have in my collection. These were two blushes that I pulled out during my blush declutter, and I was like, oh my gosh, these shades are so pretty. I want to get more use out of these, and they're both matte. So first I have this KVD blush in the shade Foxglove. I don't even know if this is available anymore because it's pretty old, but this shade is so beautiful. And then I also grabbed this Too Faced Cloud Crush blush in the shade Velvet Crush. Honestly, these shades are kind of similar. I don't know, this one's a little bit more pink. I think I want to go with the Kat Von D one just because I know that I haven't used this one in so long. So I kind of know that I don't want to buy the Tower 28 blushes, but sometimes I do get their newer products in PR, but not all the time. So I think if I do get them in PR, I probably will try one or two shades because again, I am interested in the product. If I get it in PR and I'm excited about it, like I want to share that with you guys, right? But if I don't get it in PR, I think I'm okay with that. I probably won't end up buying them because again, I can just use the matte blushes I already have in my collection. The next blush I wanted to talk about are the new Rare Beauty Bouncy Matte Blushes. Now, first of all, I was a little shocked to see another base product launch from Rare Beauty because I feel like they just came out with the liquid contours. And then I realized too that they already have 3 other blush formulas in their collection. They have the cream blushes, they have the liquid blushes, they have the soft pinch powder luminous blushes, and now a bouncy matte formula. Like that's a lot of blush formulas for a brand to have, I feel like. Now I'm gonna add some bronzer, and I'm using a bronzer I haven't used in a while. It is the Charlotte Tilbury one, this giant bronzer in the shade 1. So with all Rare Beauty launches, I was definitely intrigued at first, and again, it's a blush. I love blush, and I want to try all the blushes out there. Like that's my first instinct, you know? But I was looking at videos of the formula, and it is that kind where you can like press down, and it's kind of like a bouncy, like cushiony thing almost. And I typically don't love products in that kind of formula. Like with my blushes, I either want a powder or a cream. Like those are my go-tos, you know? So I just don't know if I would really like that formula. And I just feel like I don't need to buy these immediately because I really like the cream and liquid blushes I have from Rare Beauty. I have 3 in my collection, and then I have 2 of the luminous powder blushes. So it's like I should get more use out of those before I buy another Rare Beauty blush. I gotta say though, I do like their shade range and how the shades correspond between the different types of blushes. So if I were to buy one, I'd probably buy the shade Hope. I have that one in the liquid and I absolutely love it. But one rule that I kind of set for myself this year is that I'm not allowed to buy a blush online. I have to see it in store. I have to make the trip to Sephora, see it in person, and then ask myself if I really want it. And I also kind of feel like I fell for the hype of the luminous blush so hard. Like I bought 2 of those blushes and I really don't love it that much. So I kind of want to wait on this blush to see some of my favorite influencers' reviews if they choose to review it and just see what other people say first. Like I feel like I don't need to be in the wave of the first group of influencers to try the product. You know what I mean? I could see myself buying it in the future if it has good reviews, if I see it in person and there's a shade that really draws to me, but right now I'm able to talk myself out of it. Ooh, I just looked at my under eyes and they look creasy. Ooh, let me show you. Yeah, that's not good. My Huda Beauty powder does not do this. Uh-oh. Okay, well that's not good, and that's definitely happening from this powder because this is the only different thing I did under my eyes today. I think what I'll try differently next time I use this is try setting it with one of my velour puffs to really like press in that powder. Apparently a brush just didn't get it in there enough, so there's that. Okay, but looking at the packaging of the new Tower 28 blushes and the new Rare Beauty blushes, don't they look so similar to the powder Tarte Clay blushes? These were so popular in maybe like, I don't know, 2013, 2014. I remember like saving up my money for those Tarte blushes. Just something I found kind of similar with all the packaging. The last blush I wanted to talk about are the new Glow Recipe Dewy Flush blushes. They are saying it's not a blush, it's a flush, but really it is a blush. Don't be fooled. So I gotta say, Glow Recipe is one of those just like very aesthetically pleasing brands. I love their packaging, I love their marketing. So whenever they come out with a new product, I'm like, ooh, that does look pretty cool. I think it's interesting to see a skincare brand like Glow Recipe kind of dip their toes into makeup now, but they're not really calling it makeup. They're still kind of calling it skincare in the way that they're calling it a flush, not a blush. It's gonna give a rosy appearance to your cheeks. It's a blush. But I felt like they just came out with the niacinamide hue drops in the rosy Cozy Glow. I did get these in PR, and I don't really use this shade a lot. I use the bronzy ones a lot, and this does have a really pretty pink tint to it. I honestly haven't tried it as a cream blush, but I have tried it all over my face just to kind of brighten things up. So I'm kind of curious to see how different the blushes are from this product, but I also feel like you could get the same effect using products you already have by mixing either a liquid blush with a moisturizer to kind of sheer it out a bit, or mixing a cream or liquid blush with a little bit of a liquid highlighter just to get that like really glowy effect. I think that could give you something really similar to this Glow Recipe blush. Sometimes I get Glow Recipe products in PR. Like I said, I got this one in PR, but I don't get everything. So this is something I don't see myself buying with my own money. If I get it in PR, maybe I'll try it, but I don't think it'll be something I get a lot of use out of, honestly. Let's talk about eyeshadow, and we have to talk about these new Charlotte Tilbury 9-pan eyeshadow palettes that look so freaking cheap. I know that I am not the only person that thought this looked like a Makeup Revolution product, a ColourPop 9-pan palette. Like, this is just nothing special, especially from Charlotte Tilbury, where they claim to be just a very like legendary and cool brand. It's like, this is what you give us? Ugh. And these are $60 a piece. If you're looking for some good 9-pan eyeshadow palettes, I highly recommend the Sigma Beauty ones. They have some really nice color stories, and they're all very wearable. They're $36 each, and I have a code ANGELABRIGHT that can save you some money on top of that. For today's video, I did want to use a new palette that I received in PR. This is the Odens Eye and Morgan Turner Love Language palette. I want to give you my very first impressions of this palette because whenever I get Odens Eye PR, I never know what's coming because they always send it like 2 weeks before they even announce it. So whenever I get an Odens Eye package, it really truly is a surprise. Like, I have no idea what is in that box because no one has posted about it yet. And so I started doing this like guessing game with myself. And so I open the box, I see this palette, I see someone on the front, and I'm like, I don't really know who this is. I see it's a love kind of Valentine's Day palette. So I like to kind of guess to myself, like, what shades do I expect to see in a palette that looks like this? And obviously I wanted like pinks and purples, especially if it's Valentine's Day. I opened up this palette and I was genuinely very impressed by this color story. I was like, ooh, I see so many gorgeous color combos like right off the bat. Like, as soon as I opened this palette, my eye immediately went to each quad in the outer corner here to create like the perfect little eye look. And I was just really vibing with this color story. Honestly, like, take away this pink shade and this pink shade, I love kind of everything about this, how it is kind of more cool tone, but you have some purples in here. So first impression, I love the color story, but I still didn't know who this palette was by. And then eventually I saw Morgan Turner right here, and I was like, oh, Morgan Turner. I personally do not know Morgan. I don't think her and I have ever chatted, but I definitely know who she is. I've seen her videos all over the place. So congrats to her on this collab. I think it looks very beautiful, and I'm excited to play with it today. Like, this color story actually made me feel inspired and made me want to put on eyeshadow, which is kind of rare nowadays. So let's zoom in and do an eye look. I'm gonna start with the shade Crush on a crease brush. This looks like such a gorgeous purple shade. I'm gonna run this throughout my crease. And I am going to do a few layers of this shadow because I really want this to pop, but okay, that is looking pretty good though. Especially such a light purple shade like this, sometimes it can show up just a bit too pastel and like you really have to layer them up, but this is only 2 layers of that shadow and I'm pretty happy with that. Same brush, I'm going to take this shade Service and I'm going to use that to kind of soften out the edges of Crush. It's also just so fitting that I'm using this palette today because, again, today's Valentine's Day. Okay, I really like how that is helping to blend out the edges, making everything look nice and smooth. Same brush, I'm gonna pick up Giggle. I really like the tone of this shade and how it looks like a really muted grayish purple, so I'm excited to see how this looks on the eyes. I'm gonna start by tapping this kind of on the outer corner of my lid. And then bringing it into this outer crease area and connecting it to Crush. And picking up a little bit more. I actually really love how this shade looks, and I cannot think of another shadow in my collection that is this tone of purpley gray. Like, This is really beautiful. Like, it's a very wearable shadow, but it still has a bit of color to it. Now I'm gonna take just a little bit of affirmation, and I just wanna dust this right on the center of my eyelid. Just a really light amount. It's gonna kind of help soften this edge of giggle right here on my lid. Just kind of gives it something to blend into. I'm gonna do my lower lash line before I add some shimmer, so I'm gonna take more giggle, but I switched to a small crease brush, and I'm running that across my entire lower lash line. Then grabbing a little bit of Crush and just kind of placing that right on top of Giggle. Okay, so I kind of layered up and just blended out Giggle and Crush together until I was happy with how this looks. I do think I want to deepen up my outer corner just a little bit. So I'm going to take Date Night on a pencil brush. One thing about me is that I love deep purple shades like this. So I'm going to add this to the very, very outer corner of my eye. I really just did one dip into that purple. I have it on the outer part of my lower lash line and this outer part of my top lid. Now I want this blend to look really good, so I'm gonna go back to Giggle and just kind of use that around the edges. Okay, I love how that looks. I love how Date Night just deepened that up. I have no idea which shimmer shade I want to pop on my inner lid, so I'm gonna do a couple swatches. Ooh, I think any of these would look good. I love Odens Eye's shimmers. This is Heart, Daydream, and 829. I really could do any of these for this look. Because I'm posting this on Valentine's Day, I'm gonna keep it Valentine's Day themed, and I'm gonna do the pink. But first, I'm gonna apply a little bit of my NYX glitter primer. I was just watching Jen Phelps' video with this palette, and she said that these shades would work best with the primer underneath, so I'm gonna listen to Jen. Taking Heart on my finger and going right on top. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love how this isn't showing up super, super pink. It looks pinker in this swatch than it does on my eyes. Okay, but I think this was 100% the right move. That is so beautiful. I love how that looks, and I love that it's not too pink. It looks like Disney Princess in a sparkly shade. Does that make sense? All the little bits of color in that are stunning. Wow, I am having such a fun time right now. I do want to take just a little bit of a deeper shimmer and place that in between this shimmer and my deeper outer corner. So right on this like outer 3/4 part of my lid. For that, I'm gonna take Gifts. And I picked this shade because it is deeper than Heart, but not as deep as my outer corner. And I like to do this when I have such an intense like inner corner shade. This just kind of helps the gradient a little bit. Also, these shimmers are just absolutely beautiful. Now I'm gonna grab the shade Touch, pop that in my inner corner, and then a touch under the brow. So that is the eyeshadow all done. I'm gonna go pop on some liner, mascara, and lashes. Okay, the eye look is done. I went ahead and used the new Jones Road gel liner in black. I used that on my top lash line and then just a little bit along the base of my lower lashes for a little bit more definition. I also ran a little bit of a nude liner right in my waterline. It popped on my lashes, and for my lashes, I'm wearing the Bright Lashes All Naturel. And here's the final close-up of the eye look. Okay, here are both eyes done, and I love how the eyes turned out. As I was doing this look, I was kind of thinking to myself, I feel like this palette is what I wanted Natasha Denona Roxa to be. Like, just looking at this packaging, doesn't this eye look like shadows that should be in this shade of purple palette, right? Honestly, looking at these two palettes side by side, I do see a few similarities, but I think overall, I prefer the shades in the Odens Eye palette. Because in Roxa, I didn't really like these three shades right here. These two mattes are kind of similar. And the shimmers are really beautiful in here, but I felt kind of limited by this palette. But in this one, there's a large variety of shades in here. You have your pinky shades, you have your neutral shades. Like, there's no good neutrals in Roxa. You have gorgeous purple shades. Like, I just think it's a really good mixture, and I do really like this color story. So like I said in the beginning, I think a look with each little quad would be so pretty, but I also think if you went by rows too, Like all of those are beautiful looks. I do believe this palette is available today if you want to check it out, and I do have a code with Odens Eye. I'll leave a link and everything down below for you. But after doing this super purple cool toned look, I feel like my cheeks look a bit too warm and they're kind of clashing a little bit. I kind of want to try taking my Huda Beauty Ube Cream Liquid Blush Filter and see if I can kind of cool things down a little bit with this shade. I'm just gonna go for it. I did really like that powder blush I used, but it is just pulling a bit too warm, especially for this look. Okay, side by side, that definitely added some pink and some coolness right there. So let me do that on the other side. I also wanted to quickly mention the new NYX Buttermelt highlighters. So when I first saw these on Trendmood, immediately I was like, oh, that is so pretty. I want to try that. I also love the packaging. I think the clear lid looks really beautiful with the highlighter formula. I also love the Buttermelt blushes. That is one of my favorite blush formulas I have in my collection, especially at the drugstore. But I kind of had to stop myself because realistically, I don't really use a highlighter that much anymore. I've been just way more into a glowy cheek overall, but using more glowy blushes, not really highlighters. So to kind of get over that highlighter itch, I thought I would grab a highlighter that I haven't used in so long. It is the Sigma highlighter in the shade Sizzle. I have not used this highlighter in so long because normally if I want a highlighter, I just grab my Rare Beauty ones. But when I'm doing these videos, I really do want to go into my collection and actually like shop my stash and use the products that I know I haven't used in a while. And this highlighter is one of them. I think Sigma has like 5 or 6 different shades of highlighter, and this one is my favorite out of all of them. It's actually a lot more softer than I remember, like a lot softer than the Rare Beauty highlighters. I don't know what my hair is doing. Now for lips, Makeup by Mario came out with these shine glosses, and I really like Makeup by Mario, but I know that I do not need these glosses. I actually saw a lot of people review them, and most people just said they're kind of mid, like there's nothing too exciting about them. And he came out with 11 shades, but 5 of them look so similar. Like the tint that they have is so sheer that you really don't need more than one. So I want to use something that I already have in my collection that's kind of similar, and that is the Too Faced Kissing Jelly glosses. I love these so freaking much. I am pretty much out of the shade Raspberry now. The one I've been working on recently is Sour Watermelon. This formula is so hydrating, it is so juicy, and they smell amazing. And I think they are similar to the Mario, where they just have a very sheer tint to them. And they did just come out with 2 new shades, I think. One was a Cherry Pie, and this one is Strawberry Frosting that I do want to use today because I know I'm going to use this gloss. It kind of has a little bit of a shiftiness to it, so I want to put down some kind of base. I'm doing a little bit of lining with my Makeup by Mario lip liner in Smoky Pink. And then adding my Lawless lipstick in the shade Wedding Day. And then that Too Faced gloss on top. Oh my gosh. Do you see that sparkle? Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, and here's the final makeup look. I am loving filming these types of videos where I'm talking about new launches while shopping my stash, kind of doing an anti-haul, but also using a couple new products here and there. But again, I am very impressed with this palette. Congrats again to Morgan. Like, this is stunning. As always, I'm gonna list and link all the products and brushes I used today down below, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.